What are you guys going to do? Mr. Rittenhouse, this is a video that has been admitted into evidence as exhibit number 73. This is a video taken by a drone that was hovering south of 63rd at the time that you shot Mr. Rosenbaum. We're going to play the beginning of this video on the iPad, and I'm going to have Detective Howard use the pinch and zoom feature on the iPad to zoom in on the area.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this, and I'd like to be heard outside the presence of the jury.
What do you think? Perfect time for a break, don't you think? Let's take a break. Please don't talk about the case during the break. Read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial. What's up?
Your Honor.
What, excuse me, what? I think they went upstairs, though. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I don't know what the state's going to do next, but I suspect that it's something along the lines of they're going to use the iPad, and Mr. Binger was talking about pinching the screen. iPads, which are made by Apple, have artificial intelligence in them that allow things to be viewed through 3 dimensions and logarithms. Logarithms, I don't understand it all either. And it uses artificial intelligence or their logarithms to create what they believe is happening. So this isn't actually enhanced video. This is Apple's iPad programming creating what it thinks is there, not what necessarily is there. And I don't know what's going to happen, but we had this video enhanced. We have testimony regarding it, and this is one of the topics that came up. I asked my expert. I said, do you know of anything that does something like that? Because that was when Detective Antaramian testified about pinching his telephone. And that's what I was told. And that's what I think this is going. And I don't think that it's appropriate. It's wrong.
Mr. Binger?
Your Honor, I think everybody in this room has a smartphone, whether it's an Apple iPhone or some other device. And I think we've all taken a photograph or a video at one point or another and used the pinch to zoom in feature. This is a common part of everyone's everyday life. In the olden days, you had a photograph and a magnifying glass, right? That doesn't change the photograph. When you use a magnifying glass to look at words on a paper or a photograph, the magnifying glass doesn't change the image. It doesn't change the pixels on the paper. It doesn't change the words in the book. All it does is make them easier to see. The pinch and zoom feature on the iPad or the iPhone or an Android phone, whatever device everyone in this room has, does that exact same thing. Now, if counsel has an expert who will say that this is unreliable or distorting the image or something along those lines, even though this is something everybody in this room has done with countless videos and photos throughout the last 10 years of our lives here, this is a factor. This is a feature of everyday life in America now with smartphones. If they want to have an expert come in and say it's unreliable and you can't believe what's on that screen, they can do that. We're still in their case. And then the jury can make a decision as to whether or not pinching and zooming on an iPad or an iPhone is tampering with the video or altering the image or unreliable or shouldn't be given any weight. So if they want to make a jury question out of this, they are free to do so. We're still in their case in chief. But I don't, frankly, understand or agree with anything counsel just said. I've used my phone. I think probably you have too. I think this is something within everyone's common knowledge to pinch and zoom on a screen. And that's what's going on here. It does not change the image in any way. It just makes it like a magnifying glass.
Well, I don't know. When I put the magnifying glass up, then it's enlarging the image. It is not altering the image. What he's saying, and I think, and I know less than anyone in the room here, I'm sure, about all this stuff, but I'm hearing him to say that they're actually artificially inserting pixels into there, which is altering the object which is being portrayed. And so, you know what, I myself, when confronted with these changes in technology, what I usually do is to admit the evidence, but make sure that the finder of fact is aware of the fact that it is not the original image and the method by which it's been enhanced. You're suggesting that I should make the defense bring in an expert for it. My thought would be that actually you're the one who's offering the exhibit, so you should be in a position to offer evidence as to the fact that it is not distorting the object which is depicted.
I would submit, Your Honor, that I think it's common sense to everyone in this room that that's not what's going on here. And what counsel is saying about Apple software and logarithms and things like that is not something that people in this room are familiar with.
I thought I heard the expert say on the stand, and believe me, again, this is not something I'm familiar with, but I thought I heard the expert say that you brought down from the crime lab that in fact that there were alterations made by adding pixels. That's an alteration of the image. So I don't have any problem with it being received, but you're going to have someone testify that it's a reliable, I don't want to say mirror image, but because obviously if you insert more items into an area of space, it's going to distort what's depicted.
I think, Your Honor, when the pinch and zoom maneuver is used on a screen, it actually, it takes the high resolution that we see here and it brings it into the point where the pixels are actually spread out more.
You know what? I'm not going to accept as accurate what Richards is saying, and I'm not going to accept what you're telling me. I said if you can offer somebody who's knowledgeable in these areas, the document or I think you should be allowed to use the image, but this is high risk. To me, if you insert more data into an area of space, well, you're wagging your head no. Tell me where I'm wrong.
There's no proof in this record that we're doing that, Your Honor.
I didn't say there was proof of it. I said you have the burden of proof. You're the proponent of the exhibit, and you need to tell me that it's reliable.
The exhibit's already in evidence, Your Honor.
That I know.
The enhanced exhibit is not in evidence.
This is not enhancing.
Well, then why show it?
I'm
I mean, the reason you want to show it is so because it enhances the image, right? No, one at a time.
I'll say what Mr. Krause was just saying. The defense has taken videos and photos and cropped them, zoomed in on them, on many exhibits in this trial. And this is, again, like I said, the magnifying glass is not changing the image. What the expert testified to about his software program was that he uses, I think he called it AMFAR 5 or something like that. It was a software program he was using to create the additional images or the exhibits that were introduced with regard to this drone video. And he talked about what that software program does. He was not talking about the common, ordinary, everyday pinch and zoom feature on the Apple. They're two different things, Your Honor, and I want to be precise about this because I don't think it's fair to equate the technical video editing software used by the crime lab with pinching and zooming on an iPhone. They're different software programs, different procedures, and I don't think it's fair to extrapolate this. Every one of those jurors is familiar with this process. This is a fundamental part of our lives nowadays. It's much like 100 years ago people used magnifying glasses. This is no different than that. And I think this is common knowledge, and I don't think I need any sort of expertise on this issue. If the defense wants to quibble with it, they have an expert who can offer testimony. But the exhibit's already in evidence. It would be no different than me putting off a photograph of it and then holding up an enlargement. I mean, we had a guy come in yesterday with Walgreens prints. I mean, this is what is done with photographs all the time. There's enlargements done in the lab. It doesn't change the pixels.
No. You know, I don't want to hear about what happened earlier in the trial that came in without objection. If you didn't object, then I didn't address it. Now, I'm not going to police this case, so everybody, anytime somebody wants to put some evidence in, I'm going to say, well, wait a minute, what about that? What about that? I have to have an objection. I get an objection, and then I rule on it. There has been no objection during this trial when either side has exploded an image or anything like that. If you'd have brought in an objection, if he'd have brought in an objection, I would have ruled on it. But to say now, well, this has already been done during the trial. I've got an objection in front of me now. He's suggesting that the amplifying the image is altering what is portrayed, the image which is portrayed, and you're giving me as a defense, it's no different from using a magnifying glass. I don't believe that, because if I take, the image is the same, and all it is doing is improving my poor old vision. Here you've got someone, to correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe the expert testified that he had inserted, either him or the device inserted additional pixels into the image. That
different program, Your Honor.
Well, I don't know what kind of a program. I don't care what kind of a program it is. The question is the image in its virginal state?
I care about what program it is, Your Honor, because these are technical issues. Mr. Richards has just made representations with no basis whatsoever.
Can you slow down?
Absolutely.
Stage it over again.
Mr. Richards has just made technical representations with no basis in this record whatsoever. He is questioning a common part of life that we use, everyone uses, every single day. The expert who testified was talking about a different software program, and it does make a difference.
I don't know.
Well, then if it's going to be an issue, let's
You're
make
the
it an issue.
proponent. I said before, I'm not going to talk about it further. You're the proponent, and you need to assure me before I let the jury speculate on it, that it is a reliable method that does not distort what is depicted.
So,
Okay, so we're going to take a break.
I understood you correctly. We can play it now, and then we'll tie it up later.
I don't think that's what I said.
That's what I thought you said, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I did. If I said that, shame on me. I said that we're going to take a break right now. And I said, before I'm going to allow this to be amplified in the way that you want, it is going to have to be shown, demonstrated to me, that it's a reliable way to do it.
then we would request an adjournment to do that now.
Well, we're not going to adjourn the case now to do that.
Well, before I am done with my cross-examination of this witness, I would like to use this video, and I will need some time to make arrangements for what you're asking. So I would ask that before I am, I would like time to do that before I'm done cross-examining this witness, because this is an important exhibit that I intend to use with
Well,
this
it
witness.
depends. Why don't you get on it right away, and, maybe you can get somebody to testify on this within minutes. I don't know. So we'll take a break. Let's.
Operating system are they using on the iPad?
We can answer that question.
Do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Well,
iPad, Mark.
okay. Let's aim for 3:20 on that clock, which is. Yeah, let's aim for 3:20.